Hi everybody, it's Thursday morning's devotional time, and I hope you're going to have a fantastic day. Do it well, people. We're into the book of David, chapter 11 of 2 Samuel, and we come to one of the lowlifes for David. And there's two things David is generally remembered for: is giants and girls. Big temptations out there to kill giants and then fall for the girls. David was one of them. There was a young lady called Bathsheba who was probably a next door neighbor to David, and one day David is out there doing his evenly stroll, and he sees Bathsheba in a state of undress, and he decides in a lustful way he needs to have her. You know the story. One thing just leads to another. It starts with a look, then it turns to lust, and then it turns into a lousy situation. And David brings her into the house. She falls pregnant. David tries to have her husband killed, and he does get him killed. And David thinks that God has forgotten him. But just the act of what he did is not uncommon in the world today. Do we need to see this all around us? Turn on your TVs, have a look at the relationships that take place in the world around us. Have a look at the relationships that start as friendship and turn into something more than friendships. Guys, we've got to be really careful. Girls, we've got to be really careful. In the world around us, Satan wants to get us. And this is probably one of the temptations that is probably one of the greatest to people today. When man and woman work together, find something in common, and they love doing stuff, in the workplace together, they find commonality, they find time, they find friendship in that place. And everybody justifies it under that. I'm always nervous when I hear that line of the story. We're just friends. It's not long before friendship turns into something that is fraught, and then you're in trouble. Now, what David did. The reason that David was in this situation is found in the first lines of this passage. It's quite intriguing. It says this, chapter 11. In the spring, at the time when the kings go off to war. Apparently there was war season in those days. When the weather turned right, everybody went off to find somebody to fight. David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and they besieged Rabbah, and David remained in Jerusalem. When soldiers don't fight, they get themselves into a lot of trouble. David should not have been reclining at home. He shouldn't have been walking on the top of his roof that night. He should have been out there leading his men in battle. If he'd been doing what he'd been called to do, and to go out and fight battles and take the nation of Israel and beat up the Ammonites and the Philistines, which he was the king called to do, he would never have found himself in the situation of just doing nothing except looking out for the girls. Now, guys, I'm saying this almost facetiously. We don't know the entire story. But I got to tell you, lazy men get themselves into a lot of trouble. Wives, be grateful that your men work hard, because as long as that's what they're doing, it can keep them out of a lot of trouble. Lazy men, bored men, are the men that get themselves into all sorts of moral issues. Men, keep busy, keep focused, keep your hands moving, keep your eyes where they need to be, and you won't be distracted by these other things that can so easily be thrown into your life by Satan. So keep your eyes on the prize, keep your eyes on your work, keep your eyes on your own wife, keep your eyes moving in the right direction, and avoid these things. You're going to see them, but that second look is your problem. You do know that. Sometimes you can't avoid a first look, but you can certainly avoid a second one. And those are the things that got David into problem. He took a look at this woman, he took a second look, he said, I want that woman. And the king was able to have what he wanted in those days. Therein lies a challenge. You don't want to ever get into a situation where you can have whatever you have because of whatever you want, because that could be a downfall for you as well. So David looked across and he saw that the grass looked greener on the other side, only to find it's never greener on the other side. There's always pain. There's always heartache. There's always, horrible stuff left behind for people to mess up. When we mess up morally, there's a huge consequence. There's a line you guys and girls do not want to cross, and that's the moral integrity line. Once you cross the line, it's a new ball game. It can be fixed. It can be redeemed. I know that. I'm aware of that. But you don't want to cross that line because the pain that comes with it is horrific. So David crossed that line, and he caused a lot of pain for himself, for Uriah, the guy he had killed, for the entire family. He never ever really got over this particular sin that he caused. In fact, it burned in his soul that while he never confessed it to God, while he never came right, he became the most miserable of kings. You know, the happiest people in the world are the people who have nothing to hide. Nothing to hide. Life is an open book. And when you go to bed and put your head on the pillow and you have nothing to hide, you will sleep very, very well. So I hope today we learn a lesson from the sadness of David's dilemma. He should have been out there at war. He should have been out there fighting their battles. Instead, he's on his lazy boy reclining. Be careful of retirement, people, because retirement can lead you to a place actually you don't want to go. Keep working, keep focused, keep looking, and keep working, and die with your boots on, for goodness sake. Let's make that sort of a story of our lives. Have a great day. Cheers.